40 more men accuse Abercrombie CEO of SA. Why is he free while Diddy's locked up? What's up? It's your boy Heaven Hollywood back on IE Network. This is the Heaven Hollywood Report, and let's get to it. So, Mike Jeffries, who served as CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch from 1992 to 2014, has been accused of running an international trafficking and prostitution operation. The allegations first surfaced publicly in 2023 through a BBC investigation, not BBC, and a civil lawsuit, which claimed Jeffries, along with his partner Matthew Smith and a middleman named James Jacobson, exploited dozens of young men, many aspiring models, between 2008 and 2015. The scheme allegedly involved luring men to X events in locations like New York, London, Paris, and Marrakesh, using promises of modeling opportunities with Abercrombie & Fitch. Prosecutors allege that Jeffries used his wealth, power, and corporate position to coax and deceive victims, some of whom were injected with erection-inducing substances to force participation in sexual acts. Who does that sound like? Who those charges sound like? In October 2024, Jeffries was arrested by the FBI and charged with federal counts of trafficking and interstate prostitution. Initially, the indictment listed 15 unnamed victims, but the scope of the allegations suggested many more were involved. By March 22, 2025, over 40 men had come forward with accusations. Man, is the only person judged to is men? Accusation against Jeffries, according to a report from Deccan Herald published on that date. Lawyers representing the victims told the BBC that these men accused Jeffries of rape, sexual assault, or drugging, significantly expanding the number of alleged victims beyond the 15 initially cited in the indictment. This development indicates that the case has grown. More individuals have felt embodied to speak out, possibly encouraged by the legal action and the media attention. So, as we all know, Jeffrey was arrested October 2024, pleaded not guilty. All right. He was released on $10 million bail shortly after his arrest. We'll get to that in a minute. The competency concerns. In 2024, in December, Jeffries' legal team claimed he may have late onset Alzheimer's disease and dementia, raising questions about his mental fitness to stand trial. They requested a competency hearing, which would delay proceedings if the court finds him unfit. As of late December 2024, this issue was still pending and is still pending today with no clear resolution. And that was reported by March 2025. Now, the next step is the next scheduled court appearance was set for December 12, 2024, but updates beyond that are not specified. I believe that court date got moved. All right, so we're still waiting on a new date. Now, you hear all these things that Mike Jeffries done. Why isn't he in jail, but Puff Daddy is in jail? All right? So I'm going to break down to you what the explanation I got. Now, Jeffries charged with trafficking and interstate prostitution with allegations spanning 2008 to 2015. The case involved coercion, exploitation, but does not include additional violent crimes or a formal criminal enterprise destination. Diddy, on the other hand, is charged with racketeering, trafficking, and transportation for prostitution, with prosecutors alleging he ran a criminal enterprise involving repeated acts of violence, kidnapping, arson, forced labor, and obstruction of justice. The indictment cites physical assaults, threats, and the discovery of firearms and 1,000 bottles of baby oil during raids on his properties, suggesting a broader pattern of criminality. So that's them talking about Diddy. Evidence of violence and danger. They're pretty much saying that Diddy has evidence, including video footage of him assaulting his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, plus allegations of physical intimidation and coercion, and multiple victims and witnesses. Prosecutors argue he poses a flight risk and a danger to the community, citing his wealth, estimated at $1 billion, and history of alleged witness tampering. On the meanwhile, Jeffries, they're saying, the prosecutors have not emphasized immediate physical violence or threats to the community as reason to detain him pre-trial. The allegations focus on coercion and exploitation rather than direct acts of violence by Jeffries himself. So as of right now, they're saying that Jeffries isn't showing signs of potential danger while Diddy is. Also, flight risk and obstruction. Jeffries at 80 years old with health issues and no recent evidence of fleeing or tampering. Prosecutors agreed to bail with strict conditions. His lack of current corporate power may also reduce as perceived risk. Meanwhile, Diddy, with significant resources and alleged attempts to influence witnesses, prosecutors see him as a higher flight risk and obstruction threat. His bail request, even with proposed $50 million bonds and homes, were rejected. Now, the international trafficking distinction. Now, I noted that Jeffries was accused of international trafficking while Diddy has not been accused of it. Well, both cases involved trafficking across state or national lines. Jeffries' events occurred globally, while Diddy's indictment included transportation for prostitution across state lines. The international aspect hasn't been any decisive factor in the bail decisions. Rather, it's the additional racketeering and violence allegations that distinguish Diddy. This is why they're saying, oh, they can't let him out because of those. Now, the disparity in their treatment. Jeffries free on bail, Diddy detained. It does feel unfair at a first glance, especially given the serious nature of both sets of crimes. But here's an analysis on both, and like I said, you can make your own determination. Bail decisions hinge on a flight risk, danger to the community, and strength of evidence, not just the charges themselves. Diddy's case involved more documented violence and obstruction, which legally justified detention under U.S. law. Jeffries' case, while egregious, lacks the same level of immediate threat evidence, and his age health may have swayed the decision. He's 80 years old. Diddy's team has argued that this disparity pointing to Jeffries' release in their third bail attempt. Prosecutors countered that Diddy's racketeering and violent act sets him apart, not just the trafficking overlap. I know people would ask, is race a factor? Jeffries, of course, is white, Diddy is black. And racial bias in the U.S. justice system is a well-documented issue. However, if you're going by the letter of the law, Diddy would be more prone to be considered as a flight risk because of the violent crimes that's added on, right? So they're basically saying this is why he did not get bail and Mike Jeffries did get bail. So we're going to keep an eye on that. I don't necessarily agree with that. I believe that if they are in for trafficking, I'm hearing all this stuff that Mike Jeffries is doing, all this added extra stuff, he needs to get added charges on. He needs to get extra charges added on. Because if he is let off the hook this time, right, that's the same thing as people saying, oh, if we let Diddy off the hook. Well, if he let him off the hook this time, more than likely he's going to stop doing whatever he was doing. Right? So I believe he should keep the same energy. And he has added 40 more men on. Imagine if that was Diddy. Imagine if Diddy would add on 40 more men. It's crazy out here for black men, man. Y'all got to be careful. Anyway, let me know down below what you think. Do you think Diddy's being treated unfairly, or do you think that Diddy's getting exactly what he deserves and Mike Jeffries should have an easier time in court than Diddy? Y'all let me know down in the comments what you think. It's your boy Heaven Hollywood. Yo, I'm out.